Okay, I hit the buttons. Yeah, yeah. I'm here with Chris, and I am George, and we are Warp Charge Gaming, and we're live on Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We do this every Thursday. This is the 113th time we've done it, as far as every Thursday between here and that 113 times ago.
You're telling me that we've done this 113 times?
That's what I'm saying, Chris. And yeah, it feels good. Welcome back to this place in space where we share together with our friends that will eventually chime in and join us, as we feature ourselves on the internets. So on these Thursday nights, we like to talk about tabletop wargaming and particularly 40K. Games Workshop, Warhammer 40K, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warcry, and I'm a huge fan of Infinity by Corvus Belli, which is a little bit of a different animal altogether. I try not to talk about that too much because I get on a big tangent, and let's admit it, a lot of you out there have never heard of it or don't care about it, okay?
I would say, if you are going to talk about Infinity, we should get that in before James shows up.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yo, it's cool. I see, Chris, you haven't, I know that you've been in the quarantine land here, but I just saw Tyler jump into the live show, Tyler's been joining me on the Space Wolf battles particularly, but really see him catching a lot of the different shows. And he saved my ass today and in several different times where he catches the rules and helps me make sure I don't mess up. Tyler, I'm introducing you to Chris. Tyler, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
What up, Tyler? Good to meet you virtually.
Dude, today what helped me out clutch is that I played a all Dreadnought list. And I wanted, we're getting into it. We've, Warp Charge Gaming, entertainment on our different channels with bat reps and talk shows and things like that. But then we also throw events. And we're partnered with Battlegrounds, our local game store here in Midlothian, Virginia. Battlegrounds rules. And we were going to do between February and June 25 events between 40K, Age of Sigmar, and Kill Team. We did one event of a month of each of those game systems, including Warcry or including Infinity. And that all got shut down, obviously. It got messed up. And since then, we've came back. The store was closed down, and we came back. And we had to come up with a way to have a tournament without having everybody get in the same place at the same time. And so we came up with this tournament league concept that was mirrored what's been going on say, like Tactical Tortoise or other. He's done a tournament league that's global using Tabletop Simulator, right? And I saw his system of like having people sign up and then like pods would fire off and they would be qualifiers for like an invitational. I thought that was great. That's basically what we've been doing since July 1st, and we've had so many participants sign up. In fact, 88 participants. Some of those are duplicates. I've joined 11 times to all 11 pods, we've had 11 of them fire off. So that's 88 participants. Only one of those came to conclusion, so 10 of them are running simultaneously right now. And all the bat reps that have been going on the channel, include I think I did like 4 this week, dude, maybe 5. They are all these pod matches. So it's funny because I've had a few friends that I haven't got to play in a long time. Like even Mike, like I've been being the ringmaster, the organizer. I have a big spreadsheet and I make sure that there's all these people that are participating in more pods than just one, right? And so I'm trying to make sure that nobody has like a round one duplicate matchup. So I'm trying to get everybody facing unique partners kind of thing. And because I haven't got to play like my good friend like Dan or Mike in so long, I literally like paired us in round one just so that we get to fight sometimes. And funny enough, Chris, there are 2 cool things happened just the past 2 days. Mike beat me with a Necron list again, but once again with a super heavy list. I think I actually have some pictures here. So let me try to show you something, guys. So I ran against Mike. I ran this, and this was kind of after I had gone on tilt. Okay, I've lost like 3 games in a row with demons. This list was sacrilegious. It was Magnus and Scarbrand.
Ah, the Scarbrand Magnus list, indeed.
Kind of silly. and really, it was effective. It just came down to the fact that Scarbrand was kind of a dead paperweight. He was there for Rule of Cool. I wanted Scarbrand and Magnus, the 2 big centerpieces, but Scarbrand doesn't do what Magnus does for almost the same points,
Scarbrand doesn't do a lot of things,
no.
unfortunately.
And he's expensive. and I put him in reserve. But I took this versus Mike, and Mike ran. Let's see if it's right here. 2 Seraptics. He just got the one in the middle built up, and is beautifully painted by Maria Heyman, a local badass commission painter here in Richmond area. She painted up his Volt as well as another Volt. And so he had his Volt and his 2 Seraptics, dude, and he had 1 Lord who, with the Indominus change, now it used to be that My Will Be Done only affected infantry, and now it affects all units, one of the buffs to the Necrons.
Including vehicles, yeah.
Yeah, so he was able to give My Will Be Done and also use a stratagem that I think came in the new Psychic Awakening that allows him to apply it to 2 different things. It might be something they already had. But so he double My Will Be Done these cats and put them on 2s to hit, and he wrecked me, dude. So the... Yeah, he got turn 1, which was bad, and Magnus got picked up, and that was a lesson on my end. I could have hid Magnus. And there's another part of the conversation I want to have tonight, Chris, is that there's been a hot and heavy conversation, at least in my world, about terrain. You know, we continue to talk about it. I want to talk about how little it's been addressed by GW, where we're going to go in the scene, and what some of the different people online have been telling me.
So I do have I want you to start the conversation, but I will caveat just like my own little jump in. I almost feel like Games Workshop wants the pandemic to end so they can have the community decide for them.
Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding.
Like I feel like they're reserving judgment because they're like, oh man, we haven't been able to run big tournaments. We actually are not sure about this.
Yo, let's talk about that right now. So, right here on the screen, Chris, are you able to see what's going on YouTube or not?
I see YouTube.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because there's I'm showing now that the picture just came up. This is right out of the book, and this is their suggested map. This is what a map should look like, you know. And I think one of the first things to notice and to talk about to people, the part of the conversation here, is like I believe that the terrain rules are written for this type of terrain, GW's terrain. And when
absolutely.
You know, when you talk about that, you know, we had a long conversation on the 40K thread today amongst our homies about the Nova Ls, you know, the common ITC Ls or just the ITC style terrain. We have like from Coastal Wargaming, we've gotten these badass custom designed to the mats of the store Ls. You know, I have 30 Ls in the store, and I'm not trying to just ditch them, but a big blank wall in the middle that's replicating what these big blank walls are, or what these walls are in the middle, are different because they have all these holes. They're super porous, you know? And hell...
Yeah, and true line of sight is a thing in some situations.
And dude, think about this, Chris. Look how big that doorway is in that thing right in the middle. You could fit a Dreadnought right through there. You know, Bjorn could walk right through that thing, and you do not have that option with the big L. Even the terrain I've been using doesn't have big-ass doors like that I can walk a Dreadnought through. You could drive bikes through that thing. You know, things that usually can't breach a wall, is that's not considered solid in my mind, you know?
No, I very much agree with you, and, I mean, you know, there have been points throughout the editions where, like, that was relevant. I mean, it's changed a lot. I know people talk about, I think 3rd edition was like the first edition where like the game moved more into having denser terrain, and then 4th edition kind of like kept playing off of that. But there was a point in the game where like the game seemed like it was a very flat open field. You know, we've seen throughout the editions like Games Workshop try to change terrain rules, and I think between 6th to 8th they saw it become very necessary to address the terrain rules, and that's part of the reason why we are where we are today.
Well, so like one thing someone suggested, and this has been common lore over the years of how do you know how much terrain belongs on a map, and they talk about like 25% of the board. And so like if you took everything that's on this board and scooted it to the corner of a board, then that would be, if it filled up that full 4th of the board, that would be what is the appropriate amount of terrain to put on the board.
I think that's actually like almost word for word out of the 5th edition rulebook. Actually, that used to be a suggestion in the rulebooks. Then they got rid of the suggestion.
Apparently, that's still a thing. I mean, well, I don't know. People have been making comments. I don't know if they read that. Like, I don't pay enough attention to like their suggestion here, but I'm sure I wouldn't doubt it if they gave this. The main thing is we're missing so much when it comes to standardization. It's like like they have no craters on this board. Should there be craters? There's no forest on their board. Should there be forest? I don't see any. I don't see any -2 mechanics on there to move.
I think, you know, and that was something that I think a lot of people, I know you were, especially as someone who organizes events, people were really holding out for the grand tournament mission books to really say, hey, like, by the way, like, this is kind of what you should be playing on, and we haven't gotten that
Oh,
information.
it's
Like,
killing
it's
me. It's killing me. So, like, what they do say, Chris, is that every 12 by 12, like every 12 inches by 12
yeah,
inches, you should have a piece of terrain. That
it's
still
like
doesn't. I mean, like,
15 to 22 pieces of terrain, but I mean,
is that
a
a little?
barrel
Is
is a
that a
piece of
yeah?
terrain.
Is that a little Aegis defense line? Like, and are here they have the crates, but they have 9 GW crates on there, and they're stacked on top of each other. What if people decided to splay them out? What's saying that they can't be there? But they have that ruin directly on the edge of the board. To be noted, because most tournaments and stuff don't let you block the edge of a board. And what's scary is without definition, you can absolutely trap certain vehicles and super heavies within inside of people's deployment zones where they can't even get
Yeah,
out of them. And it feels wrong, but you also, as people that play by the rules and we use the rules to our advantage, it feels like what we're allowed to do. And you're like, what am I doing here? So let me show you, like, we tried to kick up the terrain. There was complaints that we'd have a more, I got my ass kicked with the demons, right? And so
hmm
I bet you that there were probably demon players who were suggesting that we needed more terrain to make it more interesting or to give the demons a better chance. The fact is, I think the demons just suck. I love them, but I think they're underpowered to the power creep. That's the weird thing about 8th to ninth is the power creep remained. You know,
yeah,
they,
yeah.
they
So I mean, I remember when 8th edition first came out. That was one of the things I was most excited for, is that everyone was getting, redone in the index. They kind of nuked the power creep, quote unquote, going into 8th,
big time.
but it's no longer the case. We are still living in yesteryear in terms of that.
Yeah, because I mean, a huge part of what makes an army strong is like the stratagems. We're noticing that stratagems are a huge thing. Like the new Harlequins are extremely powerful, and then of course now certain Harlequins are a fairly mono-specific army, or Custodes, or Death Guard, or Space Wolves. The ones that don't need a lot of sub factions, even though there is mask for Harlequins. But their stratagems are extremely important, and we're having more CP than ever. So not only did some factions get excellent psychic awakenings, but then they also got a lot more CP than they're used to working with.
Custodies are the winner on every front. They were like the last ones to get updated. They got a good psychic awakening. Their points reduction was basically, or their points increase was basically non-existent, and they were already they literally have won every single battle in terms of power creep going
Right.
into this edition.
So check this. So one thing, before I go over to this terrain thing one more time, one thing that was cool is that Tyler. One thing that's happening right now is that in October we're getting Space Marines, and I guess we're getting Necrons then too, right?
Yes, we are getting the Core Marine book and the Necrons Codex.
And so apparently Space Marines are being swallowed into that, but I'm pretty sure Saga of the Beast will still be active.
All supplements are still valid. The only thing is for match play, obviously, the formations are not valid.
Right. Let's see. I honestly want to see 8 to 10 area terrain pieces, obstacle terrain, and then 3 to 4 craters, forest to be standard. I'm going to pull that up. So one thing that was cool that's changing was Space Wolves, Chris, if you haven't been following, is that, and what's funny is that right now the Space Wolves have a special spot that they're in with the changeover that they have right at this moment that they won't have later. And that is that currently they have their 6-inch heroic intervention. And currently they have a 6-inch heroic intervention. Well, what just came out in the FAQ that on the about 7-9 days ago is that on the Saga of the Beast is one, they made it so that everybody in our army is OPSEC now. All Space Wolves are OPSEC. I was like, okay. And now all Space Wolves just get the that ability that allows you to heroic intervene. So now we don't even have to spend the CP. And when the Space Marine book comes out, I think we're going to be going to the 3-inch heroic, but currently we still have the 6-inch heroic, and so that's for a limited time.
I'm not sure.
I just looked it up before we jumped on. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on right now. And
okay.
That's what Tyler was confirming too earlier today. So I was checking it out before the show, and so I was like, well, shit. But that's wacky. And I think maybe when we get the Space Marine book, is that when our Storm Shields are going to change, and we're going to go to 3-up Storm Shields. Everybody.
4-up, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to lose our 3-up and go 4-up. So like,
So
right now, our Space Wolves, like, basically they got the army wide OBSEC, they got the army wide heroic, they have a 6-inch heroic, and they have all that stuff, and they have a 3-up invuln, and all that's about to potentially change to a 4-up save with a 3-inch heroic.
yeah, it's a possibility. Without looking at the new Marine book, I couldn't tell you exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. This is just like what I'm gathering. I'm just kind of like, what's happening right now? I just got my book.
It's definitely not what you want to have happen. But I mean, I think some factions will end up being bigger winners out of it. I mean, for example, like Dark Angels got their. I mean, the Space Marine standalone codexes that we know are getting wrapped up into the core Marine book are Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and Space Wolves. Like just on that metric, I know Dark Angels are really hurting after that whole. They had the Psychic Awakening boost, and then the Iron Hands nerf hit, and it really took away all of the fun stuff from Dark Angels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They did hit me with the Duty Eternal as well.
Oh, they finally hit that?
Yep, they got us on the Duty Eternal. They definitely finally hit Murderfang, not allowed to take the Warlord trait, but they did also, on the plus side, give us the, if we do accomplish the Saga, even if we took it as a bonus Warlord trait, we can still activate the Saga. So that's pretty cool. So
that's cool.
Yeah, but we can't, Murderfang still can't get it, so that was something that I did, abuse before they FAQ'd it a couple times.
There was one thing I'm not sure it's going to get fixed or not. I almost imagine this is something you'd be more familiar with than me. I think, oddly enough, because it's a chaos thing. But I've been fiddling around since Battlescribe updated to 9th edition. I've been looking at building a little bit into that Thousand Sons, not Thousand Sons, Emperor's Children army that I've wanted to build, and the Hellforged Contemptor Dreadnought, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
He's not great, but he's interesting because whenever he takes mortal wounds, he can shoot immediately if there's nothing within an inch of him, or he can pilot and fight. But that rule is specifically written if there is nothing within an inch of him, not a half inch. So that one's a curiosity. I don't know if that's going to get changed. I know that's not super big, but you could literally.
Because when you're within an inch, you're in engagement range. Half inch is what you need to actually swing on something, though.
Oh, okay, you're still within engagement range within an inch.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at actually. One of the things I was looking at is with the plasma cannons, because whenever they take mortal wounds, they could possibly shoot again. I was like, well, I'm just going to fish to try to roll ones and cause myself mortal wounds and shoot.
Totally. What's funny about that? Today I brought 2 Relic Leviathans, which is the counterpart to the Hellforge. And the that Hellforged cat is in the 400s, 410, 420, maybe more.
Oh no, they hit the Chaos Contempt or they really hit the Chaos one disproportionately.
Yeah,
so, the Loyalist one basically didn't change.
Almost 100 points more. Yeah, we're still sitting at a close 320 with the Leviathan. But let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up that Dreadnought list, and I'm gonna show you guys the terrain thing here. So today we tried more terrain, and I played orcs with an all Dreadnought list, something I've been wanting to try, and it was super fun. We got 2 Relic Leviathan Dreads, we got 2 Venerable Dreadnoughts that are riding around in the Lucius Pattern drop pods. It was a spearhead and a patrol, and I took the Judicar, which is something that Tyler in the chat right now actually sent me an email about. I was super appreciative. I love it when I have value for not just giving people entertainment, but they help me become a better player by giving me some good advice or telling me where I'm messing up. And Tyler pointed out the Judicar. I guess him and the Foul Blight spawn, I think, for Death Guard have the ability now that if a unit's within 6 inches at the start of the fight phase, they just say, you fight last, even if you charged. It's crazy. I've seen fight last, but it's always been, after the priority of who charged getting to fight first.
Especially with the changes to attacker and defender in terms of who is swinging.
Oh.
It's very, very relevant and very powerful.
He's 85 points to say no. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. I'm gonna find a way to shove that guy in. So I got me a guy to say you can't fight me. Because I mean, like I'm thinking of like orcs, right? Like they may struggle to wound me, but they're gonna have volume of attacks. And Murderfang, like you pop the strat where 4s explode. He's getting like let's say 7 attacks, 5 or 6 attacks he didn't charge. You could really put a big dent in a unit that's with that counter swipe. You know. And probably save your butt in a few cases. So Judicar's in there, and Ruin Priest with a +2 to charge Litany to help the guys coming out of the drop pods. We got the Contemptor Dreadnought, Murderfang, and Bjorn. Contemptor Dreadnought, and we got a quad launcher, Rapier Carrier in there as a tax, so we got to take them with the Relic Leviathans. But I mean, like honestly, core-wise, I think if I just went just down to Bjorn, Murderfang, Judicar, Ruin Priest, and the 2 Relic Leviathans, and I just drop out the drop pods, the Venerable Dreads, and the Contemptor, then that's a good backdrop to really add the next part. Like put Wolfen in, basically. I wanted to theme out and go as many Dreads as I could. Makes for a fun game, but obviously the theme hurt it against a good tuned list. And I thought orcs, and I'll pull this up here. Here was my pod match here. This is my good buddy Dan. He brought 2 of the Burna Jets. And he was trying some stuff out. This is his after. What was cool today, I showed you Mike's list. He had beat me, Chris. I played recently. I've lost most of the games I played recently. And Mike got a victory, and it was his first one out of many pod matches. So good job, Mike. Did it with Necrons. He's been struggling. And it was funny because he played the double Seraptic vault list because he had 3 matches in one day because he had so many games to play with the pods. So he played me and then 2 other matches, and they were all extremely fast. But anyways, and then Dan has been struggling to do well with his orcs in 9th edition as we figure it out. And
orcs are one of the ones that I think it's not that they're in my mind outwardly bad.
Yeah.
They're not in a great place, but you're going to have to really work to get that W with orcs right now.
It's because they're glass cannon. If you mess up, you get ripped off the board.
They're think. Like Tau used to be, like you wanted to always pick the right order of operations for Tau, but like they're like that in close combat.
Yep, I just saw Mike tune in. Yep, Mike, what's up, dude? We're talking about the victors on the channel here recently. This bat rep is fresh off the presses, guys. You can go watch it as of just today. It was a great match with the Dreadnought list, and I want to pair me showing you this list with the way we did our terrain because we tried to up it. And in this case, he had a little bit of an 8th edition spillover with his shock attack gun guys in the back. He brought some flash kits because he got them painted up. But the shtick here was Death Skulls because they have a 6-up invuln and everybody counts as OBSEC. And he took Evil Sons. And the unit on the right with the knobs on bikes and the 30 boys, those guys are going to be jumping Evil Sons, and those bikes are going to be hauling ass. And then the trucks, he's been trying to have a little bit of extra staying power, and that's what we talk about that glass cannon. By putting that truck as a shield, it helps him land that OBSEC on the objectives to be there after at the start of his next turn because primaries are so important. And a lot of strategy can be built around a lot of strategy I've been starting to lean towards is just like playing a 3-turn game. Like what kind of army can I build that even if it grinds its way into a tabling, can I get all my points in 3 turns?
That's a good point.
Because the game is so fast now, and even if you let 1 turn null go by in a null, it's like, oh god, we're almost at the end.
I see a lot of games that people are reporting, like scores in the 50s range.
Yep.
You can score 90 points.
Yep.
100 technically,
Yeah.
If we're going to get real technical, but 90 points to see all of these games averaging in the 50 to 60 range.
Yep.
To me says a lot, honestly, because it's a rat race. The game is shorter now in terms of turns.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a single 80-something point game, period.
Well, this match today, Chris, 89 points for the orcs.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, this goes into what's very difficult is the secondaries. The secondaries aren't easy. And when you play certain armies that are skewed, then all of a sudden it can be a lot easier to gain that. For instance, bring them down, get 2 to 3 points for every monster or vehicle you kill. My Dreadnought list just pours it out. You know, domination. If you're horde versus elite, you can get it every turn, almost guaranteed. And domination is to have more objectives than the opponent, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing like a six objective map or something. You build a list to hold the most objectives, then you're going to get domination, whatever. Those are almost gimmies. Engagement on front, those are hard to take away. In this case, some of the missions have extremely easy secondaries, and today we played the priority objective. And the mission specific secondaries, if you just hold the priority objective, you get 3 points. If you hold yours and the enemy priority objective, you get 5 points. Well, because of his jumping and making charges onto my priority, I actually kind of misplayed where I put the bulk of my army, and I didn't protect my priority. And he was able to max that. He got 5 points on that 3 times. Bam, it's maxed. He got, bring them down, kill vehicles. That's my whole army, easy. And forget what this other one was, but he got it easy enough too. No. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it'll jump at me. But I'll show you the terrain that we played with, and this was after the suggestion of our friends on the internets. Here we go. So let's make this large. So here we have these 4 large ruins that you can see poking out, but then you can see these 4 smaller pieces. I actually took the 2 smallest ones and even replaced those with craters. And that was this wasn't the way the board actually ended up. This is just all the terrain on the board. Usually there's 4 additional ruins on here, and I swapped out those crates to be kind of like my big hills. So this is like matching relatively what GW has, and this actually shows there's 12 by 12 grid of squares on this map here. So you can see that generally every 12 inches is a piece of terrain. So it felt right. It felt better, honestly. But what's crazy is when we put 2 craters on there, 2 craters, 2 woods, that's 4 things that are -2 to move through. And that actually, it was kind of like, oh shit, when I just looked at that GW example and noticed that they didn't have any -2 to move, I got even more kind of aggravated. Like, okay, are we doing this right? Because I swear to God, it's so impactful, dude, to have fucking 4 -2 to move things. Like, it slowed. Well, I failed a lot of charges today.
Especially, and this is another point, that we've harped on a little bit in our previous episodes, like, and with the style of missions we've played, like we've played the Adepticon missions for the Warp Charge Majors and whatnot. Terrain placing, being player based, is so fundamentally massive. And if you go into round 2 of a tournament and what mission you're playing, like you mentioned, there's no restrictions on like placing near a board edge and blocking off and stuff like that. Like, if you know the deployment zone, that is, I mean, you could literally take all of your terrain, you're getting half the terrain, and place it just to obstruct. And
well,
if you have things,
the way it's laid out, with the setup is that you read the mission briefing and you set out the objectives, and then you create the battlefield with putting down the thing. So you know where the deployment zones are, and you know how the mission is built around the objectives, and you place the terrain not knowing what side you're going to get.
Yeah, but like for example, like Hive Guard, like I mean that's one of my go-to units. I don't I want stuff to be in the way. You know what I mean? Like depending on your army, and I'm not saying like, oh, that's what every army strategy is going to be, like placing lines of terrain in your way that are going to slow you down, probably a good thing for me.
Yeah.
And you just have to game that kind of stuff. Like, if building an impassable wall is what is good for me, like, what, you want me to not do that?
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the weird thing is that, like, when you it feels bad to the player that brings the knights, and all of a sudden their knights can't fit across the board. Like, and it's like, how much terrain, without knowing for a fact whether you're using the right amount of terrain or not, you feel, especially if you are the invitee and somebody's coming over as a guest, and you're like, yeah, I have like 20 pieces of terrain here. We're going to fit them all on the board. And I'm pretty sure that's what GW wants. I know, I'm all combat, and you're all guns, I know. But yeah, so I'm going to make it your knight can't cross this threshold. It feels bad. And you just want to know
Certainly.
if that's what you're allowed to do or not,
I mean, I can think very specifically where the last time I went to Adepticon, the last game I played, guy I played, super nice guy. He was playing some kind of Marines. I want to say Ultramarines. I could be wrong. But But he put his repulsor intending to use a piece of terrain a certain way, and he had I could tell there was a little bit of feel bad just because he misunderstood how the terrain works, and he thought he could fall back over terrain with that tank, and he couldn't because of his reduced movement profile. And he's like, well, what can I do with that then? Can I leave combat? I'm like, no, your reduced movement profile means there is nothing you can do in this situation, and you could just feel the failed despair and disgruntledness coming off, and I was just like, this doesn't even feel good for me, it's just
oh yeah, no, I mean, for sure. And there's still, I mean, we still have some, besides just this terrain, please, for the love of God, tell us how your terrain's supposed to be. There's plenty of small things that we are waiting for a core rule FAQ that we've talked about over the last few episodes anyways. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm gravitating to the -2 movement and -1 to hit the woods and the craters. I'm more interested in those than I was originally over, say, grabbing line of sight blocking, but that is all relative to how much line of sight blocking there is. In our particular case, we set it up to have 6 pieces of line of sight ruins. If I only had 4, then I'd be more tempted to grab those pieces before I grab the forest and things. But it's all about how many you have of each different piece. And maybe it's going to be different every board, but it's not. We know that Nova, we know that LVO is going to have standardized something on their boards as far as a mix of this shit.
I think Games Workshop wants you to have 1 forest, but it has to be the biggest piece of terrain.
You think so? I feel like I had way too much, man. Two craters and fucking. Come on, Chris. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that would just be an amusing dynamic because it's just oh man, whoever picks terrain first, you have to make that decision. Do you want the biggest, most influential movement piece of terrain in the game, or do you want your opponent to place that? Decide now.
They just take the whole tiles that. They used to have the big Realm of Battle tiles, and that's just. Yeah. Whole thing is a giant thing of something, manipulating which each piece does. That'd be kind of fun, actually. But oh yeah, it's frustrating, man. It's really been a dynamic part of our games as far as placing. I've had it's funny because some of these games have been real raffle stomps. Whether it's me on one end or somebody else on the other, where it's just slam, you're done. The game's over in 2 turns, and you'll spend a good hot second in the setup portion of the game. Before we turn the cameras on, we're spending half an hour, all right, let's go through create the battlefield, choose your secondaries, all right, choose your strategic reserves, and we're going through all those steps just to get to the moment of gameplay and be whoop-pow, you're dead, But I will say that even then, the setup is still fun. I enjoy that element of cat and mouse of grabbing the right terrain pieces and where they're going to put them. I just find it frustrating not knowing what the hell is allowed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think...
James jumping in, Chris.
Oh, my goodness.
What's
the man. The legend. The James.
James, you made it. What's up, dude?
I made it.
How's it going, man?
It's going, dude.
Nice.
Enjoying life. Living the boat life.
Cool. Well, Chris and I are talking about terrain and 40K and how we still don't really know how much is supposed to be on a board.
I think it should be a lot.
Yeah.
And you should not be able to see any close combat characters running at you.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's how I would like it to be as well. And that's where I get concerned that I'm making a board the way I want it to be versus the way it should be. And GW's making me the asshole whenever somebody gets their butt kicked by a close combat army. And they're like, my guns couldn't shoot the whole time. It's your fault, George, because you didn't put enough. You put too much terrain on the board. You put too much obscuring, particularly obscuring. I've heard. It's crazy.
I'm pretty sure they just took too many guns.
Yeah.
To a knife fight.
I mean, they did let now you can shoot guns in close combat.
It's true. I'm saying that I'm not opposed to the idea that it's a different game and that guns have to be more fluid. They got to be able to move around. Somebody did make a great point today. I think it was Zeke actually commented in our thread that said, hey, guns, they work no matter what. Guns are always on. You have to work to make your close combat do anything. It doesn't just say, okay, I move somewhere and I shoot you now. Now you have to move somewhere. You got to make a 2d6 charge. after getting set, after maybe taking a couple blows to the face before you even get there. Like, it's not easy.
It's a
No.
safer investment to play the ranged game in 40K. You're more likely to make some kind of impact than none.
Yeah. Yeah, so we need some things to help us get there. But was the smaller board enough, or are we, is there supposed to be 6 pieces of obscuring terrain out there? Who knows, guys? Who knows?
No, I just think you got to get good, Schmo.
Yeah, for sure. But the Justicaw, I'm just reading some of the comments here. Now it's a party. Nice. I see Team Battle Brothers out there. What's up, buddy? Nice.
Woo!
Play super heavy terrain. Yeah, so let's go back to just a few more. James, I've been pulling up some of the lists and stuff. There's been a lot of games been going down with the pods here at the Battlegrounds Hood. I showed the Dreadnought list. Let me show you guys what kind of kicked off the weeks. I think I've literally played like 4 games. So
Dreadnought list. That sounds sexy.
it was super fun, man. That was today, and a Bat Rep versus Orcs. It was really great. This list right here, Iron Warriors, this is actually, again, a turnover from 8th edition. We were talking about earlier in the episode, James, about power creep, that unlike when we went from 7th to 8th, the power creep is still very much the same with just kind of different things. Like vehicles and monsters have some different sauce now, and, swarms of beasts can go through walls, and, etc. But the points went up. And so some things didn't get touched as much as others, and that made them good, or better than they used to be. In this case, the 3 Lord of Skulls, not a Brass Scorpion, Lords of Skulls. The Lord of Skull is by far better than the Brass Scorpion on paper, just as far as, 600 points versus 465, I think is the number.
Almost 150 points.
Yeah, and 28 wounds versus 20 wounds. They're both T8. The guns on the Scorpion charges 3d6 is nasty, but I mean the Lord of Skull, I mean the Gatling gun that it has is super sick. Plus just the size of the model, allowing to kind of like a drop pod block line of sight, which is its stature, can be powerful in itself. It's a powerful model in 3s, but this is an Iron Warriors list, and this one is still going forward in the pods. The cool thing about the tournament league that we're in is a single elimination. So somebody loses, they're out. And this is a list that has not lost. And it did well in 8th edition as well. But in 8th edition, I could take 3 Lords of Skull and 3 Lord Discordants. Lord Discordants did go up to about 200. The Baleflamer, I think, went from like 10 to 20 points even on top of that. So I think it's 220 with Baleflamer. But Quick Shot, because I don't have 3 Lord of Skulls, I take the Brass Scorpion, which is almost a whole nother disco in its place. But you hide the disco. You got the disco, the Master of Possessions, and the Blood Master. I think that what I have a super heavy detachment, a patrol. It's 2 patrols. Yep, Chaos Undivided, and a Iron Warrior patrol. And
that's so many detachments.
Yeah. I basically have like no CP. I think I hit the table with 2 command points. But it doesn't matter, dude, because it has everything it needs, and you get fucking 1 a turn, So, like, you got these infiltrating Nurgling just to be a pain in the butt, but the Blood Master with the Crimson Crown and the Iron Warrior Master of Possessions with the Demon Smith Warlord trait, as well as taking Cursed Earth and Infernal Power, plus the Disco, and you got some serious sauce. The Disco gives +1 to hit. The Blood Master is giving you +1 strength for being a Corn Demon, as well as giving you 6s to wound, exploded to an additional attack from the Crimson Crown. And then the Blood Master has the Demon Smith Warlord trait, the 6s to hit, exploded to additional attacks. And then he gives him a 4-bin vuln with a Psychic Power, and then which is a 6-inch aura. And then if he can cast the Infernal Power, he's giving them reroll 1s to hit and wound. So that makes them 2s to hit, rerolling 1s to hit and wound, 6s explode into additional attacks to hit and to wound. And then you put 2 Gatling guns if you have 3 Lord of Skulls, 3 Gatling guns that are 12 shots, strength 8, -2, 2 damage. It's nasty. And if you, besides being 2s to hit, rerolling 1s, and then, rerolling 1s to wound, you could make yourself Demon Forged if you kind of get away from the pack, just spend the 1 CP, and now you're rerolling all hits and wounds. Also, for being Iron Warriors, 1 CP, you heal 3. All your guys heal 1 anyways with Infernal Regeneration. It's super nasty. I've loved playing this list, and just because it's big, it looks awesome. But I'm terrified in ninth edition with the obscuring rules because sometimes, depending on who's going first and what's across the table, like you go against a pylon or you go against a bane blade or whatever, these guys could get picked up pretty quick because there's no hiding. Even if you do have big L's that are terrain that can hide these guys, if you're 18 plus wounds or an aircraft, then as we have it now, rules is written, the terrain is pretty much invisible. So that's a thing. But haven't had to face anything where that mattered yet. They've so far gotten to go first and pulled a lot of guys off the table. So that's fun. Ever since I ran that list, I decided to go and experiment with demons. And this is after kind of running a bunch of Space Wolves. And so I brought this trash list, the trash meta. And I was going to try. Yeah, I really wanted to try to just bring an Undying Horde. A lot of people have been talking about, like, what if I just brought all Nurglings, for instance, because Nurglings didn't go up in points. They're still a very high value objective secured unit. So I took 2 units of 30 Plague Bearers. So like, cool, let's try the Miasma. We got the units of 20 or more. We could stack up to -2. Of course, you can't go beyond -1, but in case they got any +1 to hits. We got a big, we got a 5-man unit of Nurglings, so we can use the new Nurgling Infiltration or Infestation stratagem for Psychic Awakening. And then we got a 30-man blob of pinks with enough summoning reinforcements to break down 15 of them all the way. So that big unit behind them of blue and brims, that could all break down. So I was like, cool, this is pretty much a 90-man squad of horrors. I got a 5-man of Nurgling and 60 Plague Bears, and I got a Lord of Changes Exalted. That's like -1 to hit, -1 damage, 3 up invuln with an impossible roll, and a Changeling to give 6 up Feel No Pain to all the cats. We got the Scrivener, the Bile Piper. Morale is a lot less painful now to the hordes as much as I thought, and so without fear of taking morale tests, the Bile Piper let me roll 2 dice, discard the highest to better try to hit those ones and have the icon pop and have you get a bunch of Plague Bears back. It's like, cool, this all sounds great. Well, dude, I played against a Castellan, a Warden, and a Gallant, and then 3 of the War Dogs, like the Armiger guys, So yeah. It's just 6 models. I was like, this is a dream matchup. You're screwed. Six models versus 200 bodies that are hard to kill. I should totally take care of this. I thought I had them, dude. And that match, like, I was salty. Two turns, I was damn near tabled. I don't even know how it happened, dude. It was because somehow his stompy feet. It's because I had no offense. I was an idiot, and I did. James, do you recall what happens with the Impossible Robe if you do its reroll ability?
Oh, and you fail it, you just automatically die.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, you just die.
That happened to me. I felt real dumb. It's not even if you just fail it. If you re-roll the fail into a 1. So a 1 out of 6 chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did that. So I picked him up early because I got greedy. But yeah, this list got trash, and that I was so kind of aggravated after that. That's where I played Mike with his super heavy list with the Thousand Suns Scarbrand combo. Magnus and Scarbrand, let's go rock and roll, because I was just like, screw it all offense. Scarbrand was the mistake there because he is a dead weight in 40K. This is a list I haven't got to try yet. It's sad. I'm sorry, James. I tried to say it quick. Dude, James, what is sick, though, is Blood Crushers, man. Like, I've got to try them several games now, and I think that they're worth it. They're like, you can, yeah, you can, like, insert them in your list and be happy about it. Like, that, so 10 of them with an icon and an instrument, it's 475 points. All right, that's chunky. It's chunky. You got a 3d6 charge, and you got +1 on the charge. And when they come in, every guy that gets within an inch, you get to roll a dice, and on a 2+, you do mortal wounds. On a 6, you do D3 mortal wounds. If you kill the target, you get to charge again. And then when Blood Crushers charge, their mounts are strength 8. So they actually can, like, pack a punch to a T4 or a toughness 8 monster, The rest of their attacks are like strength 6, but they do 2 damage on 6s because they're Hell Blades, and it's -3 AP. The mounts are only -1 at strength 8 and single damage, but hey. But the mortal wounds on the impact, plus the amount of attacks they get, like, it's fun. It does work. I've killed stuff. It's been like, it's scary. People are worried about it the whole time till it comes in. It's been fun.
Nice.
I'm a believer. I don't think that the Flesh Hounds, despite being the fact that Flesh Hounds are beasts and they can now scale things, they can now go through walls, and they can now advance and charge, Sadly, I still don't think that strat saved him. I was thinking real hard about trying to fit in Zinch. I want to take the Zinch Flamers. I think their strat is their Flamers can do like mortal wounds on 6s. So I was trying to think of how to maybe play with some horrors or some Zinch in some way to like mix with Thousand Suns with another list. But I ended up just getting frustrated trying to think of Chaos is hard for me right now, and then I ended up making a Dreadnought Space Wolf list. And yeah, and that was fun. I had a good time. The Orcs won, but this is what it's like when you're playing a bunch of games in this in 11 different tournament pods, and growing. Yeah. So those are all everything we just talked about. I know it was long-winded, guys, but if you're interested, those are bat reps. Tyler, I saw one of our good buddies out there. You were there for a lot of them. Mike, I see you all the time. My good friend.
Man. So we did also this past week, I mean, I guess this is kind of new. We saw the Necron Doomwalker thing. We have the new weapons profiles for destroyers as well as the Doomwalker thing. Doomwalker, I mean, I know that's not its name. The Spider Walker with the gun. Not super impressive. Can only fire the heavy version of its gun if it doesn't move. But the Necron Heavy Destroyer, the heavy one shot is now 3d3 damage instead of d6.
Oh.
Wow.
3d3 instead of d6. That's better.
So a minimum of 3 damage, but a maximum of 9.
So it's gonna average 5 damage, which means it's gonna like kill characters like Smash Captains on average with a single shot connecting.
And it can fly and just pop up right on you.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like, hey, what's up, Dad?
That's cool. Yeah.
They're true assassins now.
The other gun they got is 3d3 shots, but it's only AP neg 1 and strength 7 single damage. So it's like, who cares?
Yeah. There's I guess there's Necrons are in such a weird place right now. Like talking to Mike, just GW is, like our FAQs like kind of being like dragged along. This whole year, of course, has been weird, but just the thing that's like, here we are in 9th edition, but yet we're all kind of just like looking at each other like, are you playing it yet? You figured it out yet? What? And like, has your army changed? We don't. Necrons have all these models, and they're like, yeah, there's so much hype to buy into them, but yet their rules haven't necessarily like shown themselves, Yeah,
because the codex hasn't dropped.
Yeah, their purpose is not necessarily unveiled yet. And like a lot of the models that we've seen, like the Silent King and shit like that, they're not even available to buy yet, right?
Correct. That's going to be a codex drop almost certainly.
Yeah. So I mean, like we've seen all this stuff that we're all drooling at the bits to, and like to me, that's like the flavor of 9th edition is seeing these guys on the table, and we all have to just basically sit on our hands until October. It sounds like it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I'm curious if once October hits, we're going to have the same breakneck release pace. I imagine so, but I mean, who's to say?
Well, I'm surprised already that like when everybody was like, Space Marines are usually first historically, and then everybody else arguing, well, Necrons will definitely, they didn't just show all this shit to put Space Marines, and then they're like, Space Marines! I was like, I hate you! So I guess they're going to put them both out at the same time in October, like, okay. Yeah, if they put out if they went Imperium and Xenos Chaos every month, I'd be okay with that. They need to always pair Imperium with something else because we're sick of it, man. I'd like to say that we're sick of it. If you're not sick of it, then damn it, step aside for those that are. Because I'm tired of all this Imperium shit. Saying. Space Wolves are okay, though. I'll take all the Space Wolves.
Space Wolves.
I mean, you're talking about like all of us feeling like we're in limbo in terms of the flavor of the game. Like, I know one of my 2 main factions right now, I'm just like, it feels completely unplayable. Like, I'm almost like for a Gene Stealer cult, I'm like, what exactly do we want to do in 9th edition?
Yeah.
It almost feels like I have to wait on a codex. So I'm just like, the Tyranids are looking real, still like fun, saucy. But I mean, I definitely agree that, like, it seems overwhelmingly, whether you go to the Warhammer 40,000 page or whatever, people are definitely a little fatigued by Space Marine releases.
That's a good way to say it, yeah. Yeah, Tyler said Orktober. I feel burned with the laughable term of Orktober. I remember, I think it was last year. It was one of those years. Was it last year where they just totally didn't even boo shit for Orktober? I was like, okay, guys, I'm never gonna say that again. I hate you, GW. I think it was like when I still had it works and I wanted them to. I was like, come on, I'm ready.
Mike
that's cool.
raises an interesting point.
What?
Marines are first and getting so much love because they're actually covertly forcing everyone to change to Primaris Marines.
Pox is like Marine privilege, indeed. But we've had leaks, yeah. I lost my thought. The Marines, I'm tired of them. That's basically that. I'm tired of them. I feel weird with chaos. Like the way that you're talking about Gene Stealers, I feel that way. I'm struggling with demons entirely. Like every time I brought demons as of late, I've been getting, ever since Psychic Awakening, I feel like I've been getting beat up more than I ever have with demons. Like when we went to the Nova Trios and we kicked ass as a team, us three, that one time, demons were in a great place. I was loving demons then. Like there was
Gene Stealer Cult had some fire tech as well.
Yeah, there was all kind. That list was crazy then. Like,
bro, I was able to play pure corn.
Yeah,
be happy about it.
And you didn't lose a single game doing it.
What was it? Jim Vessel. He was like just making a name for himself with Chaos Demons at that time, and I think his winnings was a part of where the Nerf hammer came probably. Like Plague Bearers got hit. Everybody was running Plague Bearers. You know. That was to be expected, but I feel like they're almost like, why even take them now? Have you heard this, and for the both of you, but James particularly, that now versus Plague Bearers, that the Chaos Fury, that was a model that got introduced from Warcry, that's also is now it's the same points as a Plague Bearer, and that has a 5-up invul and 5-up feel no pain, but it moves 12 inches and has fly. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah, so you could.
No, I didn't.
So you
I didn't know I had a 5-up feel no pain.
Yeah, I didn't either. So you could take.
But I guess you take it as Nurgle.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
So, so it's like, sense. Do you want to take 30 Plague Bearers or that move, 4 inches or whatever, or do you want to take 30 fucking Furies that move 12 inches and fly, and it's the same points? I mean, it's like a no-brainer. But those kits are like people are talking about taking the gargoyles.
Gargoyles.
Yeah, and
bro.
Yeah.
No. Hear me out, dude.
Okay.
This is the best conversion for Nurgle Furies, and it's been a dream of mine when I thought about making a Death Guard army with Nurgle. And I was like, I just want Furies because they look cool. So you take a squib, like the fucking orc like little thingy, and you put the Tyrannid wings on it. Like those little Tyrannid dudes, you take their wings and you put them on the fucking squib dudes. And you paint them all green.
Oh, yeah, the squibby dudes. Yeah, well, you're talking about the gargoyles, and you're talking about squigs, like the squigs for
Sigmar. The flying rippers' wings.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, is that what it is? The rippers? Is that what they are?
There's the Sky Slasher swarms. They make them only for Forge World, but there's also the gargoyles. Like, those are the gaunts with wings.
Those guys.
Okay, so the gargoyle wings. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, so that with the squib and paint them green, they'll look like Nurglings, like that can fly.
Yeah, sounds awesome. I would love to see that. I was sad at the idea of. I think it's funny that it's kind of like when Brimstones were, 3 points apiece for 4 Binbones. Yeah, I think that was exactly the price. Like everybody bought 900 million Brimstones, and then eventually they weren't that good anymore. And I would like to assume that the Chaos Furies will, this weird obscure model that nobody owns, unless they play Warcry, and then they only have enough to play Warcry because that's all anyone should ever have.
Well, this still the old sculpt that some people might have.
Of the Furies?
What up, Bobby?
That's fair.
They've been around forever.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough, yeah. I guess they were, I remember Furies used to be good in Tzeentch and Sigmar, and I never knew what they looked like or why. And I guess they're those little bird dudes. What up, Bobby?
Yo, you know what I'm really salty about? That probably I have no place to even mention. Battlescribe still does not have the Zote model in Battlescribe, and it has been 2 months. What are you doing, Battlescribe?
Yo, Battlescribe didn't put the Chaplain Venerable Dread as legend. I had to check that out in chapter approved today. It totally, I think it is legend. It's not in chapter approved. I guess that means it's legend. But like, yeah, Battlescribe, you can't trust it, you know. But like one thing that's cool for like orcs is that the we got the resurrection from Legends of the the boss on a war bike and the big mech with the force field. And Tyler mentioned that it looks like we might be getting a new custom force field model and a new boy sculpt. I think we've seen some previews of like just the edges of some arms and stuff, and it looks like it's an orc boy. That'd be pretty big.
Interesting.
Wow, that's cool because they should be on 32 mil bases, and a lot of people had them on 25s.
Yep. Dude, a new orc boy that like kind of matched the. If they had an orc boy that like matched the prowess of the Primaris Marine, that'd be insane.
Oh God, I just realized James mentioned those bases. I do not want Gene Steelers to get redone because they've been on 25 mil bases forever.
We'll 3D print you, bro. It's easy with the conversion bases.
I'm just lazy. I don't want to do it.
We'll pop some 25 mil to 32 mil converters. It'll be fine. Bobby,
matters less this edition.
Our friend Bobby out there is a Chaos player, and he often sends me some sauce. I have been struggling with demons, James.
Dude, I'm excited to try my new coin list.
Yeah?
I just have to play.
All right, Bobby, in the comments, you type up a list that you might think is worthwhile for Chaos, whether it's either Chaos Space Marines or Demons. I'd love to hear from you on it.
100 Nurglings.
James, tell me what you're looking to play.
So it's a battalion and a patrol.
Okay.
And it's Exalted Champion with a Gorefather, a Lord Discordant with a Bale Flamer, and then 3 units of 5 Berserkers, all with chain swords and chain axes, captains with fists, then 3 Defilers, one of them with the extra Kami Bolter for the extra 3 points, 2 Helldrakes with Bale Flamers, 3 Chaos Rhinos with the upgraded Kami Flamer, and then the Demon Prince with the Skull Reaver Axe, and then 2 units of Bloodletters with horns in reserve, outflanking.
Yeah, I like I like all that. Yeah, the Defilers are going to be cool.
So it's basically all armor sitting up front because the Bloodletters are in outflank, and then the Demon Prince is untargetable.
Yeah.
So you have to shoot at something with armor. And it's like, are you really going to shoot at Rhinos that aren't any like effect to you this turn? Or are you going to shoot at the Defilers? Or are you going to shoot at the Helldrakes that now can cover the board in 1 turn?
That's what I was going to say. The Helldrakes got a lot better with the fact that fly.
Dude, they got crazy better because they can still charge. Yeah. All right. They can go off the board and back on the board.
Right.
And then they can fucking move across the board 30 inches and then charge turn 1.
Yeah.
And now you can shoot in combat if you're a monster vehicle, and they got Bale Flamers.
Yeah, that and because that their shooting zone pretty much can be better than their
it's just
combat.
As good as their combat.
Yeah,
it's just as good.
And now they get both. Yeah,
that you can just keep staying in combat, just ripping.
And if you stay in combat, if they stay in combat with you, don't kill you in the shooting phase, you get to fight first in their turn.
And then you can, and then if shit gets rough, just bail and leave the board. Come back next turn.
Yeah. Well, plus, what I like more too about them than before is that now you can touch things that you wouldn't be able to touch before and turn them off. Like you can turn a repulsor off now. And like usually a repulsor has like -2 to charge and it's a total bastard to touch. But now you can go park right next to that thing because it moves so fast and say, cool, -2, I get a 3-inch charge. That thing can't fall back and shoot.
I'm loving it because it's just like the Defilers are nasty in their own, and then it's like these Helldrakes are becoming such a nuisance that it's going to allow these Rhinos to move freely up the board, even though it's 3 units of Berserkers. They're going to take out any unit they touch, and then you still have the Demon Prince walking with them. And good luck coming to my side of the board. I got Bloodletters right there, and they love power armor.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that sounds fun. That sounds like it has a nice blend of different mechanics in there, and I think it'll do well. That sounds cool. It's
the best pure corn list I can build, and the only thing I'm missing is the Defilers, but I have 2 Soul Grinders, so I just kind of converted them up a little bit, and then buy another one.
Gotcha. Dig it. I'm laughing at the chat here. It looks like Bobby's spitting some filth out.
Dumb filth or stupid filth?
The good, all kinds. Bobby's a big fan of running Slaanesh build, which I also do enjoy. Slaanesh, going to all Slaanesh. That was what I was doing leaving 8th, was the 3 Mauler Fiends with Lasher Tendrils and 3 Discos, and then the Slaanesh characters. I love Celesk. Celesk is such a badass Demon Prince-like model with the 8 D3 attacks plus 8 attacks with the Axe of Dominion that does 3 damage a pop. It's nasty.
That unholy alliance.
Yeah, but it looks like Bobby's trying to tell you, Chris, to run a bunch of silly shit with Tyranids.
He's telling me to bring a bunch of gaunts and zone tropes, and I mean, I love me some zone tropes, so you're not gonna. That one doesn't take a lot of convincing for me personally.
Zones.
Dude, what's funny is I've been hearing about a few people out there that have been just taking an absurd amount of obliterators. Like Hagen the other day, I think took 9 in a list.
Bro, obliterators feel such a good role right now.
They do.
They're good in close combat too.
Dude, they're decent as fuck in close combat because they have like cheap power fists. And what's really nasty about them is the fact that the way Deep Strike and everything works is they can get those angles, pop some shots, and then make a charge. And they can be in groups of 1 or 3, so it's like, damn, there's always room for them.
You could also, you could technically also, if you really wanted to, use Fabius Bile to buff him too. I guess, right?
You can see Mike in the comments. Yeah, because you can do the thing where you give them as Black Legion, like all 4 of the different Legion traits. Start doing some silly shit, but yeah, Mike's like he had to fight 9 of Blitz in one of his league matches against Hagen, and he's like, it sucks, man. It's like the worst. Oh, good call. Flickering Flame. Yeah, so like that's one of the tricks. So let's say you Black Legion, you give yourself all the Chaos Gods. You can like Miasma, Pestilence them. You can use like the Flickering Flame Zinch power to make them. I think that's +1 to wound or reroll wounds. It's +1 to hit maybe. Can't remember. Flickering Flames +1 to wound, I think. Yeah, it's +1 to wound. Yeah, because you put that on horrors.
Yeah, and then you give them that for +1 to.
And also, it's nice if you take a Zinch Demon Warlord, you can take the Demon Spark Warlord trait, and that lets you reroll 1s to wound. Yeah. Mike says that 3 of Blitz charging killed like 13 warriors.
Yeah, I made the fateful mistake in 8th edition where I was like, Blitzer's still bad in close combat, right? Charged some Rippers into the Obliterators, and like there weren't no more Rippers. They just got like squished.
I mean, I've seen Austin pick up 3 of my Lord Discordants in literally a single shooting phase with 1 3-man squad.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, their shooting power is devastating, but continually their close combat ability, it just shocks me. Like, I know that's not what you want to use them for, but like, do not sleep on their close combat.
Yo, you know what gets out of control?
Just as good as Mutilators, which are supposed to be the close combat versions of them.
Right. You know what gets out of control though is there's an Iron Warrior strat that lets you re-roll anytime you have a variable weapon. It lets you re-roll the variability, and the way the wording works is you get to use it on all 3 stats of the Obliterator. So you literally can reroll the strength, the damage, and the AP with 1 CP.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they're like the nastiest, because if you use the Dark Apostle and you give Infernal Power, which is the one basically to get the reroll 1s to hit and wound, and then you can do a Dark Apostle plus Master of Possession, so you warp side plead them to give them +1 to hit, or you can just prescience them to give them +1 to hit. So get them to that 2s to hit.
And you can just vet them to give them +1 to wound.
That's right. So you got +1 to wound from vets, reroll +1 to hit from prescience or the dark warp side plea, and then reroll 1s to hit and wound from infernal power, and it becomes just stupid. And then you do the Iron Warrior strat to reroll all variabilities, and then make them Slaanesh so they shoot twice. And that 3-man unit, you're dropping mad CP on it, but it can just win you the game.
Oh, dude, it can delete 2 units just like that.
Yeah. It's gross, man. It's gross. Plus, if they're Alpha Legion on top of that, you can have all that stuff, and then, Iron Warrior would be the one to re-roll everything. But if you make them Alpha Legion, then you can conceal them, of course. Plus, they'll be -1 to hit when they're not concealed. It gets crazy. That's just really good. So I'm struggling when I try to think of Chaos, how not to, like, all right, I don't necessarily want to run Defilers, or I don't necessarily want to run Obliterators. But, like, that's where my mind goes to, is something that I need to, like, Not necessarily Defilers, even though that's like an obvious like good choice. It's just like I'm not necessarily where I want to be with Chaos right now. I am having more and more fun with Space Wolves, but there's so much Imperium love that it's almost like Tau. Like how everybody like if you play your Tau, you're like, oh, cheap bastard. You almost feel that way with everybody. It was so much hate that's kind of fueled towards the Imperium. I almost feel bad playing them and winning.
I still want to see, and I know we're trying to figure out, with the meta leveling out with terrain and everything. There's still that Imperial Guard build that I'm interested to see, where you can get conscripts with a 2-up, 4-up.
Yeah, that does
2-up save,
really
4-up
hard.
invulnerable save. Where it's just like, yeah, that's a carpet. Like, have fun fighting that.
That sounds really hard, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's been we're getting pretty late. I know that I was enjoying James being on because we had caught him a little late here. But do you guys want to catch any particular subjects like for the next 5 or so before we jump out? Are we good? Anybody got anything? I'm pretty good.
Nah, man.
I'm pretty good.
Tournament scene sucks. Competitive scene sucks.
Yeah.
The only thing you got going on is the pods, man. Like that's seriously it. I don't even hear of anyone else doing anything as cool as that.
Yeah, I agree.
We're getting ready. I'm really excited because Monday. So just to sign off with for the folks that are out there, on Monday I'm gonna make like a video that's like gives an announcement to the crusade that we're gonna launch. So I'm trying not to call it a pod or a league because it's gonna be narrative. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna play power level. So I've read the whole crusade rules. We talked about it last week a little bit. I'm really excited about the system we came up with, like behind the scenes at the battlegrounds. And we're going to create a crusade event that's going to be over like a 10-week period. And that's all. I'm going to announce all the details of that on Monday. And then we're going to get during the sign-up period. I think the weekend after, not what day is it right now? Not this weekend, but next weekend, I will do a how to play video. I'm going to do a couple videos because I want to help we got a lot of new players in the area getting into 9th edition, jumping into the scene. And I've never been very good at catering to the 500 point or 1,000 point level or teaching people as much as I'd like to. And we got this very cutthroat single elimination style tournament going on. I wouldn't say it's cutthroat, but single elimination kind of is by nature. So I'm looking forward to the channel showing some 500 point games, some 1,000 point games, and also having some educational material around showing people how to play 40K 9th edition. But I'm going to do a how to play video with like the cameras and stuff, so we can like walk through and talk through, and that'll be like invite open to the public. But a lot of this communication is going down on the Battlegrounds Discord. And then I'm also going to do like an advice episode where I just hang out live and give thoughts, kind of like what we do every Thursday. But again, it's kind of more geared towards the Battlegrounds crowd and to try to help the newcomers get into the game as we launch the Crusade. And I'm going to try to help them get some tips on how to build their army for the Crusade and how to fight different opponents and everything. So I'm looking forward to it, and that's something that's going to be going on over the next few weeks. We're going to have some Crusade matches on the channel here, and more in that 500 to 1,000 point bracket with a smaller board. That's at like a 44-inch board, 30 by 44, I think. So 1,000 points on half a board is extremely aggressive.
I'm running a night.
They're right on top of each other is all I mean. Like, you think the board's small at the 60 by 30 or whatever, 60 by 44? It's nuts small at
Helldrake spam.
Yeah, 30 by 44. But we'll have some of that on the channel. I look forward to it. It's going to be a nice, fun few weeks coming forward. Thanks for everybody that tuned in, and we appreciate you all. Episode 113. We'll be back next week. Keep tuning in for more to come. Catch you guys here next time.
Take a punt seriously.
That's right.